Hello, welcome to the Harmonix show in this wonderful, we have got like a talk show set going here in a minute. Welcome to our Audica mappings authoring hour, thrilling authoring hour. Ta-da. Ta-da.
Yeah.
I had really cool like old game show or talk show music that I was gonna play and it just didn't work. But
Can you just hold your laptop up to the screen and show what you're trying to render?
Play it real quick. Hi, I'm Troy. I'm hosting this whole wonderful thing. We got some wonderful people here to talk about our most recent Audica update, which included community mapping.
Yeah.
Community mapping. To the very far end of the couch, you should recognize him from by now, Ryan Challenor, lead coder on Audica, and to my right, Jeff Allen, audio lead, authoring extraordinaire, and your professor for this evening of authoring. That was all I got. Sorry. How you guys doing?
Good.
Excellent. We can also cut to the wide here quick. So Rick Cody over here on the ones and twos, gonna start authoring for us in here in a minute. Rick, how you doing?
What's up? I'm doing great.
Cool. So before we get into the authoring world, there was a patch, obviously, that came out on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Community maps being like the major feature out of that, but Ryan, was there anything else out of that you wanted to touch on before we dive right into
one of the
stuff?
other things, there was that bug that people had mentioned where it's like melees after restarting. There would be a certain melee that would always get missed, even if you hit it properly. So that was frustrating a lot of people who were going for the full combos.
Yeah.
Which I had never seen the bug because I just never miss.
That's an easy one.
No, that's sorry.
Camera three.
So that got fixed, which is awesome. So thank you. I can't remember which. Someone on the Discord posted a video that helped me track down,
a couple people
which was very helpful.
Very helpful.
What else got in? There was. Do you make notes?
We at the bottom there.
I didn't do my homework.
That's okay. I mean, you did code the update, but that's the minimal thing.
I added a thing.
Just music and sound effect volume.
Yeah. Music and sound effect volume, we have that in, which is cool. We meant to have that in for launch, and it just slipped because we were so busy, and then we forgot to do it afterwards. So we're like, oh, okay, let's do it now.
Works. Early access.
For the spectator camera, we made it so it saves the settings, so it'll always boot into spectator camera if you used it last. And also, I added a little notification in the headset when you switch between first and third person because it was hard to tell. Hard to tell. As I noticed while streaming, it's like, what camera am I in right now? We should have a thing that tells you that.
Well, actually, I think see that a little bit later when we get into the game.
What else there? And then some other
bug fixing stuff.
Minor bug fixes. You can read the patch notes.
You can read the patch notes.
Uninteresting.
But the big feature, of course, was community mapping.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about kind of how that feature came about, kind of why we're here, why we're on this stream today?
Well, so we had the survey, and that was like number one for what people wanted to do.
I think by far the number one.
And then, given that feedback, it seemed like a pretty big feature, but then we realized that we could put it in pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So pretty proud of the fact that we were able to turn it around that quickly. And we already had our set of authoring tools that Jeff and Rick use. So we just put those out there. So really didn't have to make any modifications to the tools. Maybe we want to now to make them friendlier to use.
Right.
Because they're what Jeff and Rick use, but
yeah, these are very much like the tools that you use on a daily basis to do all of your work.
But that's like a full-time job. So I'm sure that there are ways we could make it spruce them up. Yeah, for the part-timers.
The only thing that we've changed a little bit here is the sampler that we're using. So we recommend
that's true.
This free sampler, you can use whichever one you want. If you have questions about how to set that sampler up, you can hit us up. We use our proprietary in-house sampler, but it all works.
So it lets you hear the kicks and snares and stuff that you're authoring, which is good.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about what tools exactly we're talking about?
Yeah. So we use this for all of our projects really. Reaper, which is an awesome MIDI editor. One thing that's great about it is it's very extensible. So we can use Reaper as a base because Reaper is very good at putting events in time. in musical time. Yeah, MIDI events in musical time. And then the Reaper plugin system allows us to create a bunch of layers on top of that that are more game specific. So if you switch quickly to the screen here,
Oh yeah, flip over to the screen. Yeah.
you can see like we have tools that help you place curving targets on the grid and lets you visualize what's happening, like a gameplay preview of the grid. Yeah, there we go. Sweet.
There it is.
So we were able to take all of the, like a full-featured MIDI editor and then customize it to make it usable for Audica authoring.
Right. And so once, we'll get into like the actual mapping piece of it, but what is kind of the process for maybe the average user who's not mapping to get a community map into the game?
Sure. Well, we're going to start you out with the installation process. So you have to get a trial or license for Reaper, install that, then you'll install the VST, which is the plugin format for the sampler that we're going to use that allows you to hear your targets. And you'll need some, hypothetically, you might want to procure a mix of the, game mix somehow.
Yes.
Yep. So you can hear the audio while you author.
Get a gameplay video of the song being played, or record yourself with the with the audio.
Yep.
Right.
And then a good starting point is just to like take we put all of the expert authoring for each map in the community maps folder, so you can use that as a starting point and sort of like remix our authoring to be your custom version of it.
Yeah, as we see here, we've got all the
Yeah, there we go.
all the maps there.
Yeah, so if you
Waiting
want
for you.
to take Destiny and make all of the targets horizontal slot targets, you could go in and do that if that was a thing you wanted to do.
Right. And then once a map is made, yeah, I know his thing is not clipped to his thing. I'm just going to fix your mic clip while I'm talking to you. So one thing you can do once, if you don't want to, I'm going to put that back on for you. Once you have a map, you can just drop it right in the community maps folder.
Yes.
And that will show up in game.
Yeah, so we have a naming scheme that we discuss, that we mentioned in the README, how it works. Yeah, but for anyone who wants to play maps, all they have to do is grab this MIDI or cues file and drop it into the community maps/maps folder, and then the game will see it. Yeah, that's all it is. Drop files into place. And in the future, we're probably going to have, an in-game browser and all that. But this is like, we wanted to get something out as fast as possible so that people could use this feature and try it out. So this is the but simple version.
Right. Yeah. There's a very clear point here. Like this is like the first pass of this kind of implementation. If it takes off, or if people really grasp onto this, we'll do some more work to make it a little bit cleaner and probably easier for other folks.
Yeah. Yeah. If we look at the turnaround between the survey and it coming out, it's like
short timelines.
Yeah. We want the quick version.
But this is like, I mean, opening the door for this process to work is probably the bigger accomplishment here.
Yeah.
In terms of stuff, and then we can only go up from here.
Yeah.
Only go up from here. All right. We've been talking a lot about how we do stuff. Let's do some actual authoring. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
We good?
Let's do stuff time.
All right. If you just want to cut, so Rick is over here already has Reaper open. We've already done all the installation steps that are in the README. Including downloading Reaper. Obviously, we have a license because we use it. We've also installed all of the scripts and everything that are in. So if you follow the kind of the README and the guide there, you'll get you'll get to this point.
Yeah. So set up some recommended keyboard shortcuts and all that.
Yeah, we use macros extensively, which is another great thing about Reaper is that anything in the whole program is exposed.
Yeah. It's very customizable.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Go for it.
So to jump in here, okay. So first of all, like you said, you get Reaper. Second of all, make sure we use Grace, what we're recommending.
Yep.
And so I want to show you real quick about how to set up for Grace. So for Grace, we have, Reaper's all set up in here.
This is the template that shows up in the Community Maps Tools folder, by the way.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I'll just to show you where that shows up. Community Maps, right here you can see. Go into Tools. Then we're going to go into Reaper Template. And when you open that up, you will see what looks like this layout right here.
So we're actually going to be editing synthesized today. On
Yep.
stream,
Synthesized
just to be-
is, yes.
Just to be clear.
So, yeah, and to be clear on that, I dragged in a version of synthesized, and we got audio for that version of synthesized and dragged that into.
Yep.
This is a special edit we're kind of cutting to
Yeah.
a section that we thought would be the most fun.
Right.
For
Yeah,
sure.
instead of authoring the whole song, we're just doing a short snippet to show you quickly.
Yeah. Cooking show style.
Yeah.
As we called it.
Now,
What happens, so if you download
Grace, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to download the template. What's going to happen is you're going to load it up, and Grace will have lost the links to the samples.
Mhm.
So you just have to reload the program that's included in that. Reload the program for Grace.
Yeah, just load the preset with all the samples.
Yeah.
And in there, yeah, right here, the preset with the samples is in the Reaper template folder. And then from there you go to Audica Audition Sampler, preset samples.
It's that LPG file. You just reload that, it'll restore all your links to the samples.
Cool. All right.
Okay, so next we've set up the sound effects, open the template, scripts. So these things are super helpful. Actually, just to show you where this exists here, you go to Actions, Action List. Okay, so I'm really going to push Load. And in the Community Maps Tools folder, you're going to see these scripts
All
right
of
here.
all the
Yeah.
scripts that we included with that.
And you can just load these in as a batch. You can just
Shift click
shift click
all of them.
and yeah, load all of them in. And we've added shortcuts to all of them here. These are the shortcuts that we suggested in the document that came out yesterday.
Yep.
Let's see. So to move on to the next part, one critical thing to make sure the maps are functional is you want to make sure that your in your preferences that your song ticks per quarter are set to 480. Make sure that's done in. I'm
It's
losing my mind here.
Scroll down.
right there.
My MIDI.
Yep, there you go.
Media MIDI.
There we go. And then so you go down to media MIDI, and then ticks per quarter note, 480.
So what is that?
Yeah. Okay, so MIDI is essentially a list of events that happen in time.
Right.
Time is demarked by measures, beats, and ticks. Most music is 4 beats in a measure, and then
So,
yeah, the ticks per quarter note, so 480. The 16th note will have.
and you can see right here, right? So this is measure 3-1. Measure 3-2 right here is 3.2. So there's 480 ticks essentially, points of reference in between
Okay.
those
And
two.
that's kind of just like what the progenitors of the MIDI format decided was enough resolution for the.
Yep. But there are different ways you can save MIDI files. So some programs save them in 960 ticks per quarter note, some in 480.
Right.
So this is just making sure that you are on the format that we use in the game.
Right.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Otherwise,
Yep.
your stuff's gonna run super slow.
Yes.
It's gonna
Yeah,
be
twice as slow.
off sync, right? Yeah. So if you
Oh
do,
yeah, by a
I
lot.
think it doesn't even get loaded by the game. It says this is supposed to be 480, and it just barfs.
Good. So yeah. So next thing, like I said, is make sure you get song audio. So in this case, we have this song audio right here. So I'm gonna give a quick sample. We're jumping straight in. Now, typically,
Jeff,
we
your mic's
want to
a little
give 2 measures of introduction here.
Sorry.
So these 2 measures, as you can see, we're not authoring anything. If you look down to these tracks down here, there's nothing authored to this section. You can see
Just to
them.
give people some lead in to
Yeah.
get the feel for the beat and everything.
Exactly. If you get targets on you from the second it loads up, you're gonna miss it. You won't be acquainted with the song and the tempo. Okay. So one major thing that Jeff and I always do for our songs is we create these things called repeaters. We list these, and they're at the top of the track. They're from MIDI lines 127 down to
107.
107. So you can see right here, what this does for us is this denotes the song form. So for example, you can see this section right here and this section right here are gonna be authored similarly. So I'm gonna play the audio there real quick.
So basically, those are like a copy paste tool to
Yes.
help us take this section and put it all over the place because songs often repeat. It's like, oh, the chorus will probably have the same authoring throughout. So those things would be like, oh, put this one in the chorus here, and then the next
This chorus
reprise of the
too.
chorus,
Right.
put it over there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
So-
we recommend doing those first because, as a beginner, it can be daunting. There's a little bit of composition work
Yep.
as we author it. It's a little bit like programming a drum track.
Right.
Anyone who's tried to do anything creative that seems a big job, like it can just be hard to dig in. So we really recommend figuring out your structure.
Yep.
Just listening to the whole song through, thinking about a theme to start with, and then how that might develop.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, if you're playing the chorus, everybody expects the chorus to sound the same. They expect to be able to sing back to it, right? And so similarly here,
Yep.
you want them to be able to think back to those same notes, play those same
Right.
notes. So I'm going to open up the grid viewer right here and just show you real quickly. This repeater right here. You can see the quick notes firing off.
Yeah, so this is just a quick helpful visualization for like what you are authoring in the moment. So if you
Exactly.
play back your section, you'll actually see the notes draw, and those numbers represent the MIDI track.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey
So
Rick, do you want to just show the repeater happening? Like add a few ugly sustains and then hit P so people will be able to see it.
sure. Yeah, so I mean, I'll just draw this big ugly sustain right there.
Is that the first instance?
It's gonna be a bug, but this is the first. So regardless, so here is the repeater, and here's the second one. So when I push P, which in this case populates repeater, because we set that up in our actions, it will copy and paste it after the computer. There we go.
Yeah,
There you go.
Goes through its
totally
paces.
works. So
So
yeah, so you can basically like author a whole section, then just kind of copy and paste the whole thing.
exactly.
Nice.
Just want to
And
get us.
sometimes you might have a section where it's like, oh, like the last bar of that section you want to be different. In that case, the second repeater, you just shorten it.
Mhm.
You do copy the whole section, then go and shorten the last
Right.
bar
Yep.
and replace that with your kind of variation.
Right.
Super handy.
Very.
So the next thing here was, after you've set up your repeaters, one major thing that we suggest you can do is author your track and with using simple spacing. So your kick can be in one space, your snare can be on another space, but separate hands. And the idea is that when you first, before you even try moving around this entire grid here, you're just basically setting up a really simple rhythm. The simplest left right rhythm track. And I don't know if you want to talk to that too.
Yeah.
You want to switch?
Sure. Yeah.
I can jump over here.
Oh, okay. That works, yeah.
So we were kind
Hey,
of
Ryan.
talking about how to change what to do to this track to make it different, and so we were thinking, well, let's make it a ridiculous bullet hell sort of thing. This song is originally pretty syncopated. It's very rhythmically varied, and we're gonna take a different approach, which is just scads of eighth notes and quarters at 180 BPM.
Yeah, that's sort of what we hope to see happening in the community maps is people trying different approaches to mapping, and so we can see how different ways that you could play Audica with the same song.
For sure.
All at once.
And you can make a really hard version, and then that's just a expert plus version of the song,
Which
and
is-
people can challenge each other to impossibly crazy bullet hell versions.
And I mean, those expert maps are already in there, so just take those as a starting point.
Yeah.
And to build on those.
Augment. Yeah.
Okay, here we are in. So I'm just going to make a bunch of 16, or not 16 notes. Let's do 8 notes. So let's imagine that we want something to be like dagga, 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 dagga. I'm just going to make a simple beat here. Oh, whoops, I have it. Put it down to sequence. So if you're, if you're getting used to the idea of figuring out rhythm,
Turn it on.
um,
Yeah, is your mic down?
is it on?
Is your mic down?
It's on.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yep.
You're
Okay.
fine.
Just making sure the mics are good. All right, so we have a bunch of eighth
Yep.
notes authored.
bunch of 8 notes. So I recommend this way, just like if you want to get a feel for what the thing is going to sound like.
Might wanna
Right.
move,
So that's this kind of rapid fire thing.
move it down like 5 or 6 spaces, just to put it in the center.
Yeah, so you can see as you change it, you can see the grid viewer updating live, so you can see where it's going
Yeah,
to.
so an important thing about the grid viewer here is this is where the playhead is at measure 3. So it's showing primarily this note right here. And then you can see as you move this note in time, right, right here it says we're on MIDI note 41. So MIDI note 41 on this graph, on the grid viewer is what's showing up.
I also want to do view. I want to show. I want to show the velocity on these. We should, we should break down.
Control, you can zoom in. I think it's a certain distance you got to zoom in.
Yeah, let's break down what these notes are doing first of all, because a conventional in a conventional like MIDI programming, you would get different. If you're programming drums, you might have a different sound per pitch. We're not doing it that way, so.
And normally velocities are saved for loudness or strength of attack.
Right, exactly. Strength of attack. So what we're doing here is we're actually using strength of attack to determine the sound that's being played. So that way you can use any note for any sound. So these are all velocity 127.
The
happens to be going to a snare drum.
So the position of the note on the MIDI roll here is what's showing where it shows up on the graph, and then the velocity of the note is determining its sound.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to change the velocity of the note using a macro. These are all, I'm going to turn them all to bass drums except for beats 2 and 4. So that's a backbeat sort of thing. I hear this da-da-da-da-da-da. Right? I'm going to use a macro to swap them. We don't have swap units.
Just
And then I'm going to set up this alternating right hand.
Yeah, so this is one of our macros that lets you quickly press one key to switch a note from being on one track to the other track, so from left hand to right hand or vice versa.
Yep.
And let's say how we want to do this. Maybe you want to have this figure going right, left, and we want to have it going in an ascending
Yeah.
pattern. So bring them all down here.
Started from the bottom.
Yep. I know that all the left hands are going to be one grid space over from the right.
Yep.
And then I'm going to move them each one up by 12 notes at a time.
It's worth noting there that each octave of space here is one grid level higher.
That is a nice alignment, isn't it? I never really thought of that.
Yeah, the grid is 12 wide.
Yep.
So
All right, so whoops.
got a stray up there. Good. Boom. You can control and scroll backwards to zoom out, so you can see all the MIDI notes at once.
Oh yeah, like
There you go.
yeah, the zooms are backwards from the way we have it. Okay. Okay, so there's that idea.
So by doing that, you establish like the rhythm and then spatialized it.
Yeah,
So
we can kind of keep going with this motif for the next. We have this is a 4-bar idea right here. So let's just kind of like populate this and kind of mess with that idea.
Actually, really quick, if you want to just export this real quick, let's actually throw it into the game just to see like.
See what that even looks like?
See what that even looks
Sure.
like. Just
For
come
sure,
right.
yeah, good call.
It's going to be hard, I'll tell people right now, to make that jump from the top, then go back down to the bottom and start up again.
Yeah, it'll be weird.
Bum, 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 bum.
That's why we're just gonna have a little fun with this.
do
As you
it.
can see, I'm
So we're going to save it into the
exporting-
community maps folder.
Yep.
You've got you need to put an underscore between synthesized and
Yep.
live stream edit.
Yep. This is the we call this the short name, I guess.
Yep.
Underscore your.
Yeah, this is a version, a shortened version of synthesized we made for the live stream, but the ID for this song is synthesized live stream.
Yep.
And then after the underscore.
Oh, we're not on that right build.
Make sure
we're
that
in the
you
live one.
are exporting your entire project.
Yeah.
When you're importing, make sure that you're importing it to time, to beat 1.
Great.
Cool.
Okay.
Saved it.
And if you want to launch it out of Steam at the bottom there, yep, just go ahead and hit play.
Play in VR.
Yep,
Right there.
right,
to your
big,
right.
the giant
Oh,
button that
yeah,
says play
yeah.
VR. Cool.
I never remember
Just play it. Yep.
Let's do it.
Ryan, you want to jump in?
Sure.
Try and give this a
Yeah, I
be the
can
guinea pig on this one.
Sight read this
Sight read this
fresh
crazy.
version.
4 bars fresh.
It's not quite a sight read because I got to see you off.
You just got to watch.
Right, you did get to watch.
Okay.
Slide the
What,
mouse out of the way.
spectator mode do we want to be in? Third? First?
Let's go. First is good.
Okay,
First
cool.
Is fine. See if that loaded in fine.
All right. Where are the sensors? Am I in the right spot?
Yeah,
to-
you're just face right forward.
Sweet. All right. So we'll go to play. We have the special version synthesized here.
Oh, there you go.
So we load that up, and for choosing a community map, you go to the difficulty select, but you'll see a new button at the bottom here, which is Community Maps. Click that. Did it get saved to the right directory? I don't know if it got if you made that change into the Steam directory. We should see it in this list here,
Oh, Alt Tab, real quick.
or it might have been named wrong.
So we adjusted.
Interesting.
I know what happened. We adjusted the expert version. So
Oh, my glasses on.
there we go. So we want to export project MIDI.
Hey,
Yep.
while they're doing this checking thing real quick,
And
quick
then
question
go
from the chat.
to-
Do you need to have VR to author these tracks, or could I, as a non-VR having person, still make
thought this
community
worked,
maps? Yeah.
That looks great.
Yeah, you can, technically. You really just need someone to kind of pass you the kind of scripts and everything that we use, and you, in theory, could map without having VR if you really want to. Nothing's stopping you. I'm aware that I have a really annoying cowlick right in the middle of my head, too. That's great and not at all distracting for me. We good? We good back to the... Thank you.
Sorry, we have a thing going on in this build here where.
Are we sure that we exported this properly? Let's see. Your export
Yeah, I
window.
think we made the special song for the live stream, and
Well, it was working right before the live stream.
yeah,
so
okay, cool.
Entire project. It's on.
Is it named the right... Is it just spelled correctly?
Yeah, let me make sure that we're in the right folder here. Going to Steam.
I mean, I ran it.
Look at.
You know what? I ran it by doing the exe, not through Steam.
That should be fine.
You can come back to me if you want.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone.
I'll return to the couch.
Sure. So we're also going to do a couple more like weird authoring things in this. So if you have ideas or things you just want to see us do,
Yeah.
let us know. We're going to do some stuff with like chains quickly to show you that process.
Yeah, I'll talk about while this is going on. Let's break down
Sure.
how the different targets, like what's their relation to gameplay and how do we create them. So, broadly speaking, we have a difficulty ramp for when we introduce targets to players. So as community monitors, you're going to be making a single expert track. So it's not a rule that you have to follow, but something to consider. So beginner starts out with just normal targets. You'll have and simultaneous targets, which are included in that. In moderate, it's the same. Then in advanced, we start to
That's where slots come in.
slots. Yeah, we start to introduce slots. Those are the directional, horizontal, and vertical targets. And I think, well, in moderate, I think we introduced chains on a very sporadic basis with plenty of, time on either end to prepare for them. By the time you get to advanced, we're full on with all mechanics. Normal, slots, chains, sustains.
Yeah.
All targets, I mean, all difficulties get sustains as well. We just kind of like, we'll give more rest time before
Right.
and
The
after.
sustain and then a pause and then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we talked about how, how we use velocity to determine the sound that's emitted. Note pitches are just to handle the spatial layout. We use MIDI channels to determine target type, and those are all, we'll have macros to assign, assign a note to a channel. So, for instance, channel 1 is no behavior. I think channel 2, I might have this backwards. Channel 2 is horizontal.
Yep.
Channel 3 is
Channel 2 is horizontal. Channel 3 is vertical.
vertical.
Channel 4 is the start of a chain.
Yeah, is this? Yep.
Channel
And then
5 is the continuation of a chain.
Yep, is a node within a chain.
And we did all that with the scripts that we have in there to set those notes to be what you want them to be.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so for the most part, with assigning a sample sound to a type of target, we don't care. You can assign a snare drum to any target, a kick drum to any target, except for in the case of chains, we treat them as the hi-hat sound. So we'll ask you to set the specific velocity for those. Like the chain start goes to channel 1, and it has a bit of an open hi-hat sound. Chain nodes velocity 2,
Right.
and a close hi-hat sound.
Yeah. So those sounds are basically different for each.
And well,
yeah.
so it's worth noting that a chain doesn't always have to have the same sound, right?
That's true.
So the velocity and the channel are two separate properties.
Yeah.
So the velocity is the one that determines the sound of it. The channel determines the function, the gameplay function
Yeah.
of the target.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll have a chain that's all snare drums. You get that kind of machine gun,
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
snare drum fill.
Very fun.
I mean, so in talking about community maps too, right? If you want to put like percussion or kicks on a chain and just do it at random or do however you want, like that's an option. Like
Right.
that's available to do.
Yep. Like one thing we have found that it's not as satisfying to start using the smaller chain samples for regular targets. They're just not meant to be explosive. They're meant to be fired in rapid succession.
Right. Yeah. They're meant to
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
hit and rap. Yeah. I was playing around with the chain maker a little bit last night, trying to
it's
figure it
fun.
out. It's
Yeah.
it's intense. We'll show that hopefully in a little
If you
bit
guys
here.
don't mind, I'm going to jump in over there with you.
Oh
on the
yeah,
couch.
Please join us on this couch.
It's not the mystery voice.
So we kind of mentioned this as well. What makes a challenging song for an expert player, like versus something that's just completely unplayable? Like, what are some of the things that we learned when we were kind of early coding or early authoring rather?
Yeah. So I think one of the things is you have to author to the content in the song. So it always needs to be playable, right? Like if they can hear it in the song, like you want to have that accented, that brought out with targets.
Yeah, I would say like the kind of main motif of a song, like listening to a grand mix, as opposed to Rock Band where you can be really granular. You can say, I want to, this guitar part's going to get authored. This crazy sweep the guitarist is doing. I'm going to author that. In this game, we're kind of listening to big ideas. It could be like the big repeated vocal hook, the drums. Obviously, like the drums and the bass are the kind of go-to for this type of music. It's a bit weird to author to a vocal line unless it's kind of the big hook and it's repeated and very distinctive.
Cool.
So
And-
it's kind of all about finding the...
And it's especially weird because you just imagine if every single word was accented with a snare drum.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Right.
it's not a musical thing to do.
Yeah. It's very different than like authoring some like maybe a karaoke kind of track where it's like match the sounds. It's really set your own kind of beat.
For sure. The only
To
place
it.
where pitch is matched in our game with the sound is in the bass sustains.
Right.
So whenever you sustain a note, you're activating our bass sounds, and that's a sustain track.
Right.
And that's where you're getting tonal stuff.
And what's maybe something quick that's like a total we figured out is the total no for authoring. Like what's a totally like bad thing to do, bad practice-y kind of thing.
There's a lot that create visual bugs. So if you want to don't
Right.
like
Okay.
crossing,
Outside of breaking the game.
so like crossing chains, right? Is like
Yeah.
that will do it. Have hands that like cross back and forth during the same chain.
Right.
And they'll pop up in your screen, and like you'll see them like cross. It looks ugly. It's functional.
Okay.
But you'll see like notes overlap, the chain targets overlap, and it's just so there's visual stuff like that that's ugly. For playability, we like to test players and make them feel like pretty awesome when we have like notes that are
Which one did you save it as?
spread wide, but how far wide, it's still a work in progress, right?
Right.
What's the difference between a cheap shot and something that's just awesome and
Right.
feels really cool, and you're like a no-look
Cool.
melee
We're
when
good.
you're shooting this thing.
Yes, go to
People
the
are
other
just like
one.
watching you in third person and just taking it all in.
But the
The
bad
difference-
ones are when they're like 1, 2, and totally like out of view.
And prove us wrong, right? But like,
Yeah.
feel free to prove us wrong. But like that has been the thing so far. Is like if you're leading a player's eye over here and you just randomly throw in like a random note to the far side, then it's like that we found to be a problem.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say is spatially. If you've seen those grid spaces on the mini notes and in the viewer, if all your 16th notes are one space apart, then you have an 8th note that follows. You want that to be 2 spaces apart because it's twice as much musical time.
Right.
You start to create these expectations. You create a sense of visuals and over distance, and in relation to musical time. So
Right.
it's space and time. People will learn as they do it, but that's important in this.
Okay, so
All right,
we're good.
we're good?
Sorry for the technical
That's
thing.
all right. We fixed it.
It was like a last-minute build thing, so it was making it not show up, but we just fixed it live. So now we can try that one we were intending to test before if we want to switch over to the headset. Sweet.
There you
All right, so back to where we were. We select our synthesized live stream from here. You go to choose difficulty, and in the difficulty select, you'll see a community maps button. Shoot that, and you will see the maps for this edit of synthesize. So we can go to the one that was named synthesize livestream _ edit. So edit is the one we want to play just there, and let's load it up.
So this is the crazy notes that we just put in.
Yep. So that's all we got to so far.
All right, cool. And then that goes back into what the song was.
Yep.
Cool.
So, all right, so we can go back in now.
Back into Reaper.
You've
Back
seen
into Reaper.
where we, you've seen what we authored. You've seen that first 4 bars.
Yep. I'm just kind of like making this. I'm turning this into a more possible sort of thing.
Oh, by going up and down?
So let's show them that process. So first we had the first 4 bars, and the first 4 bars were the ascending 8th notes.
Yep. I'm kind of just taking this same right, left thing and moving it around the space.
So can we take a look at what it looks like from 3 to 4 so far? Just like even the beginning of the measure 4.
Yep.
So measure 3 is what we've seen already. And you can see he goes 1 space over to the right.
Yep. This isn't a great transition right here. Look at that. That's kind of ugly with this. You can see there's that middle target is overlapping. So I'm going to
Take it 1 more space wide. 1 wider.
I'm going to put it up here. Let's see. How about here, and then I'm going to take these 3. There. Just going to knock this out real quick, and then we can go play with sustains.
You added a double note in at 3-3.
Good call.
Can't have those. I mean, you can. They just
They're impossible to shoot.
they'll be impossible to shoot. Yeah, it's not ideal.
So that's not recommended for community maps authoring.
Not ideal. Not an ideal thing.
I'm just going to
One thing we could mention is, we haven't like officially supported this, but it's in there, and it's possible for you to do. If you author these notes, in this space, right now, like you can see right up here, we're on up some, MIDI note 81. If you author those in the melee track, you'll actually produce colorless targets, basically targets that can be shot by.
Yeah, they're kind of buggy though.
Yeah,
So-
not recommended, and we're not supporting them.
To tell you what, I'm going to
Maybe I'll
end.
fix them someday if people really love them.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, let's put in some melees. I'm going to end this one in a sustain. To make a sustain, you just extend the note.
So anything
Longer than an
over
eighth note.
what was the
Anything more than an 8th note
an
long
eighth note
becomes
becomes
a
a
sustain.
Yep.
And let's end it with. Oh, this is an interesting thing to figure out. Okay, a melee on beat 2 of measure 6.
So as we mentioned before, melees are always on 101 and 99,
Smack.
right?
101 and 100.
Sorry,
If you
101 and 100.
we always author to the upper one because that's where it feels best.
It can be hard to see like a low one coming, so we just
Right.
always put them in the same spot. And then we
Yeah.
do the doubles, we use the lower one.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, and we talked about mapping, velocity to particular target types. Melees always need to be velocity 3, so we have a macro for that. Forgot to mention that. Melees always have the same sound.
Yep.
You could give them different sounds, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
we kind of like the.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure.
People can
sure.
get creative with it.
That's right. That's
could.
right. You're
community
right.
maps.
You're
All
right.
these things are things you can do,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they're not things we do.
That's
Let's
right.
put it that way.
Yeah, we kind of just enjoy the physicality. Like, there's a specific
Yeah, that's
smack
true.
sound
And-
for that sample that we enjoy.
One other thing we don't do with melees is 100 and 101. You can see those two notes there. We don't do them on opposite sides.
Good call.
Yeah, we internally don't do it because we don't really love how it feels, but maybe someone will experiment with it and
Yeah.
discover
Yeah,
they like
like
it.
Again, this
this
is the whole
is-
process about breaking the rules. We're just kind of
Yeah.
saying these are our practices.
We ask you to break all the rules and see what's fun.
Right. If something ends up being super cool and super fun,
Yeah.
maybe we'll take note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely.
Rick, do you want to build some paths in the next
Sure.
section?
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
So let's cap
Real
off.
quick, again, if there's anything that you guys want to see us do weird in this mapping, let us know
Yeah.
for this section. Whether it's maybe 100 melee notes right in quick succession.
Well, we've already seen that one.
That was a thing of beauty.
That was great.
So one quick thing, I'm just going to play it and just kind of look at where we end up at the end of that section so I can figure out where to start that chain. First things first is I'm erasing all these notes from this section, making sure it's clear.
So you'll see there's some control lanes at the bottom of the screen there. There's text events, which are just kind of a display for the authors. They are not read by the game, but it kind of,
Yeah, they help you to see where the chains are and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, like you
So
can
they
see
tell
those,
you, like,
those
here's the-
C's right there. We're saying, this one is saying this is the main chain.
There was a chain there, but Rick deleted it.
Yeah, I already
Yeah.
deleted it.
And then you'll see these two control values up there and those control offsets for the target from the grid. So you can nudge them left and right, up and down. The path builder is essentially working with those.
So just to show them here, like 15, this is on MIDI note 27. But because it's offset, oops, it's this one right here.
Yeah, you can slide it.
I can slide it left and right,
Yeah, to go off the
And
grid.
then-
So that's how we get the smooth paths you see in the game.
and slide it vertically, exactly.
And the path builder is a tool that will automatically set those CCs for you rather than you having to drag them around manually, which is a painful process.
Right. Or like have them be snapped perfectly to the grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes it's fun, the first use was for chains, but then it's also cool to set up paths for conventional targets. We'll do that, like
Yeah.
kind of going around in a nice circle.
Yeah, like in Pop Stars,
As I
there's
say,
a big
Pop
arc
Stars,
that you
right?
shoot where you sort of curve upwards. That was done in the path builder.
What's the?
Yep.
There's another one that goes around in a full circle.
Oh, and Gold Dust.
Is it gold dust?
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, so jump in here. So we have, I'm just going to show you what Jeff just did, show you where we end up. So here's that little bullet hell section we just made. So let's make sure we end okay, so okay, there we go. So next thing is we're going to go right from this MIDI note, which is 54, and then we have 101. So one little tip here is that these melees, relatively on this grid, they come in about 44, 56 on the right side, and they'll come in about 51 or 39 on the left side.
Yeah, that was actually something that someone on the Community Maps channel was like, oh, what if you change the grid viewer? So he edited the Lua file and moved them up there. So like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe we'll do that. Maybe that's more useful for us too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
That might happen.
And that's something cool that like all of this stuff is like Lua files where you can modify the source. So if you are handy as a coder in any way, like you can tweak these tools to suit your needs.
Right.
Sure. And I mentioned this too as a reference because at this point, the player's hands are gonna be in that vicinity. So where I want the chain to start is somewhere in that vicinity. So I would say anywhere between like 54 diagonally down to like 33 is fair game right now. Oops, take that note out. Okay, and so let's start it. Let's go about 45, and gonna put that little 45 over here. That'll be our little secret.
This is the Bob Ross version.
Bob Ross.
This is
Rick Ross.
authoring with Bob Ross.
Different person.
And then we're gonna go in here and find a nice little grid viewer part of the path builders.
The path
excuse
builder's
me.
at the top, yeah.
It's-
And
Cool.
we're gonna make it 10 steps long. Okay.
Yeah, so you can see he's building a path, and it starts it from that grid square, and then he can use these tools to position the path.
Yep. So
So
actually,
yeah, just working like from left to right, like and down. What are each of these kind of tools doing quickly?
so let's go over each of them. So
Slide.
steps right here, right? Steps is how many
Right.
notes there are in your chain,
Right.
or within whatever path you're creating.
Right. So how many little pips that fire?
How many
as-
targets?
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be clear, it doesn't have to be a chain. This box makes it a chain,
Yeah.
Okay.
but it could just be a series of targets.
Right. Okay.
Now we can turn these into eighth note, or I'll go in order. So we have quarter note triplets, eighth notes.
64th notes. 64th notes.
60. If you want to do something we have not done yet,
do it.
Make
yeah.
64
At
notes.
180 p.m. 180 p.m. Let's see what happens.
you want to try that?
Yeah. No, do
Yeah,
it.
it's-
All
Absolutely.
right,
do it.
now's the time to do it. Why not?
Yeah.
So we're going to do 64th notes. Oh my God.
64 of them, right?
We got to do 64, which is the max. Oh, 65 is the max. So you can
Yeah,
get to
because you
the
can make
one
it
of
all
the next
the way
measure.
to the one, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Okay. Now you can see these targets right here are going to be completely invisible. You're not going to be able to
They're just
tell.
gonna be overlapped.
They're just going to overlap, and it's going to look horrible. So you want to give them some distance. You can see that even after
Yeah.
this
It's
distance.
extending beyond the grid, so you're gonna have to curve it to stay on the grid.
Yep.
You're going to have to go outside your house to play that one.
You're going to have to go outside. This is a big VR play space we're talking about to get this done. Okay. So what I did there is I changed the increment angle. That's the angle of your, it curves your line essentially. Now, if I wanted to change the angle of like,
Yeah.
Line
So like, you
overall.
can get really nerdy with what everything means, but really it's like you just want to move the sliders around and make something that looks cool.
Yeah.
And go from there. Like these are just tools to help you build a pretty curve.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
make a
it's-
spiral, though.
There's more the
do a
interval
spiral?
that else,
Yeah.
okay. So in order to make a spiral, this thing increment here. So increment means that you, with every single increment, you are incrementing further.
Yeah. So there's an increment angle, which is like how much the angle changes every step, and the increment is how much the increment angle changes every step. So you can use that to do some pretty funny things.
Because to be clear, if I just did the increment angle the whole way, it would just overlap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I did increment, it's becoming step by step more incremented, and boom, we have a spiral.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we have the step increment, which makes it more spirally.
Yep.
Yeah, that lets you change how much each target is moving.
So just
the
how this
distance.
one bends it more with every increment, this one makes it longer, or it has a greater distance between
Yep.
each
Yeah.
increment, or less,
Or
depending
shorter.
on what you choose.
Yep.
All right. So I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger because you can see we have space down here, space up here. So I'm gonna angle it, make sure in this case I gotta come almost 360 to get it in within the grid. There we go.
Shift click will give you some more precision.
Yeah,
on
if you
these
hold shift
sliders.
while you're sliding.
Just run that. Yep. So shift click.
Cool.
And don't forget the chain button.
Yep. No, I won't.
Yeah.
All right. So there we go. That would be 64th note single targets.
All right, it's going to be a chain,
Boom.
and go. And then what that does is it creates a bunch of MIDI notes for you automatically that all have the CC offsets to give you the nice curve. And then if we look in the path builder here, you can see the giant, crazy 64th note chain target that's created.
Yeah. So let's hear
All right,
a
so we
quick
wanna-
preview, and then
okay,
we'll
let's hear it,
send
and
it in
then
game.
Yeah.
So
export it.
here's what it looks like. I want to put it in context if you guys don't mind. I want to go.
Yeah, sure.
Here's
Start
the
from the
full.
bullet hell and keep going. Okay, so it's almost a tone.
All right, if you
Okay.
want to export it, you want to cut to camera 2 real quick while he exports that? Thank you. I'm going to jump in and do this one.
Okay,
I haven't quite
Godspeed.
tried it yet.
All right.
I
So we're
didn't really
gonna
orient the
export,
camera properly for this whole plan, but
and this one is going to be on edit.
on edit?
Yep.
All right, great.
I want to replace it.
Cool.
Yes, we do.
and just cut to the game real quick.
Cool. And so we did
all
this
right,
with
now you can come back
we
to
did
it.
this with the game open, by the way. So if Troy just hits restart, then it instantly reloads that that edit right there.
Were we
Here
on
we
edit
go.
the
That's
first time?
pretty awesome. That is an awesome feature.
There we go. Perfect.
You're a little slow there.
That was perfect.
That's cool.
That was really cool. Hang on, I really just want to. All right, I want to try the bullet hell part one more time because it was
Yeah,
really
and you
awesome.
gotta hit that sustain at the end.
Yeah.
And you got to be faster in that spiral.
Wow. Sweet.
The 64th note sound.
Yeah, we've never done. That's the first time I've seen 64th notes in the game, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Pioneers right here.
And yeah, so like we said, you can literally just save and like save over the file that you were working on before, alt tab back to the game,
Yep.
and hit run. So you can come back to the computer just while he was exporting the first time. Yeah, like you can be authoring live and then immediately jump into the game and
Yep.
check it out, which is super helpful if you're trying to figure out how things feel.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, things
Cool.
we've talked about is kind of like, fast forwards.
Yeah, well, I'll
mechanic,
probably add
these
things
things
to like
might-
help you skip to parts of the song for later authoring and stuff, which
Yeah.
we haven't really needed here, but I think that could be really helpful for like, oh, I want to iterate on the last part of the song,
Yeah.
and I don't
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to play through the whole song every time. So we'll
Yep.
probably add some community map authors tools to like help you jump to the ends of songs and stuff for testing.
Right.
I think like the populating repeaters thing would be.
Yeah. Oh, also, we settled on the name Maps because that's sort of what the community was calling it.
Yeah.
We keep saying authors, and we never really had a name for it because like we call these guys like song authors, and
Right.
we called like all of the stuff authoring. It's like, oh, the expert authoring for this.
Right.
But everyone outside of these walls calls them either maps or charts. We
Yeah.
settled on maps.
settled on
I guess there's a
maps.
holy war there.
Yeah, unaware that there was a like Sega versus Nintendo
Yeah.
level feud going on between the two names.
But then we decided that since they're maps, then you guys are cartographers
like,
now.
yeah,
that's
that's
fine.
You
the
aren't-
new official title.
You're an art.
Cartographers.
Yeah. So you're no longer authors.
And speaking, if you do have like feedback or immediate like mapping questions or feedback, go to our Discord, which will be down here in like a second or two.
Yeah, don't go to our Mixer.
Don't go to
We
Mixer,
don't have
wait
any
for it. I mean,
information
go to
there.
Mixer, follow us on
Yeah,
Mixer.
Absolutely go there. But-
Discord.gg/Harmonix. There's a community maps Audica channel.
Yep.
Ryan's been active in there, listening to stuff and,
Yeah.
and talking with people.
We've got like our README that was a text format, and then it turns out people don't like to read plain text. So,
Yeah, Elliot Tate turned it
Elliot
into a
Tate
really
made
cool, like-
nice with graphics.
Not gonna lie, used it to set up this
Excellent.
one
Yeah.
for today.
Much more user friendly. So thank you, Elliot Tate.
Yeah, big props to them. But yeah, like let us know if you have questions and there are feedback specifically about the mapping tool,
Yep.
or just feedback about the game itself. Like this came about because people wanted
Yep.
community maps,
Yep.
and we wouldn't know about that feature unless people told us about
Yeah.
it. Well, this one we probably would have known about without people telling us. But the other thing.
But
could
they
be-
made it clear, and we also responded to a lot already.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's one fun. There are different things too we could do to like make mapping easier. One thing you can do that's sort of natively supported in Reaper, which is awesome, which we have done a little bit of, is like you can use a MIDI controller
Oh, yeah.
to basically like you press play in Reaper and have it recorded to ARM, and then you can use like a launch pad is like an 8x8 MIDI controller grid of buttons. So you can set that up to map onto the grid, and you can just play on a grid controller along in time, and it will place targets. So you can just sort of
Right.
press play and be like, all right, I want target here, here, here. You could play at like 50% speed if you want to have
Yeah.
more accuracy. So that's a good way of getting in there.
Yeah, to
Accuracy
do that,
is also quick.
to do that, you'll need a remapper
Yeah,
plugin to translate
Yeah.
the input
It's
to
like
your output.
super advanced level of input.
Yeah,
input method.
if you're a MIDI nerd, then
Yeah.
MIDI controller.
But there's
nerd,
a
then
free plugin. Like when we first started this
Yeah.
project, we were using that.
And I might make like a Max patch that does the remapping for you for people, and release that.
Ask for it.
Maybe if something doesn't come up on a Sunday or something.
Yeah. The best way to do it would be to have two launch pads. So you can
Yeah,
do left hand
yes.
and right hand.
the same time with like
mapping
with like
into
a stream
going into
deck
a different
for the
exactly.
for the melee.
Yeah.
I have a weird question. Can we come back over to the mapping real quick? Tell me if this is easy to do. Can you make a chain
Just
and then make them all into melee notes?
make them all into melees.
Like using the offsets that are set.
No, because offsets don't happen for melees right now. I might
This one-
add that because it'd be funny. But
Okay,
right now
never
offsets
mind.
don't
I was
apply
really
to
hoping you
melees.
could just take
No,
a
no.
chain of melees all
Maybe
the way around.
I can copy paste.
Will that,
Yeah,
will that move them?
it'll all just all be in the same space.
Never mind. Forget
Yeah.
it. Sorry, guys. Come back to the couch. I thought that would be a cool thing we could end on.
Another thing we've had that I might want to revive was early on we made a way of recording in game, where like you
Yes.
boot up into record mode and then you see a big grid in front of you and the song is playing and you just shoot different squares in the grid and then it spits out a MIDI file.
My ideal is to step record in that, so you could advance a 16th note at a time, place, advanced, place.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
my dream.
So
All possibilities.
yeah, so I think that's something that like it already mostly works. So I
Yeah.
might just like finish that up so that people can do that. And I don't think you'd be able to make like stuff that's like, okay, I just did it in here and then it's perfect to play. It's more like you would do that and have like a pretty well created map that you can
The
get
bare bones that you
clean
take
up,
it into
clean
Reaper
up
and
in
clean
Reaper.
it and move everything around.
Launchpad for
So that'd
everyone
be fun.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A launch pad for everyone else, really.
And then also we made it so that you don't have to use MIDI format if you are more comfortable doing something like in a text format, and you could like write, you could like write Python script to generate maps, or someone could make an editor that is outputting stuff into that text format. So that's like another way of authoring. So we're just trying to create. I also just gave Elliot Tate some scripts to switch between MIDI and cues.
Oh,
so
good. Cool.
he's going to test those, and if they're good, then I'll release those.
So those will be out there in the world.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon. So.
So that people, like if say there are two authors, one person prefers the MIDI format, the other person prefers the cues
Translate
format,
between them.
they could still like work on each other's stuff,
Right.
just switching it back and forth.
Right. That's awesome. So we're butting up against time.
Okay.
And I know you guys like get out of here
Yeah.
very quickly. So can you give me 3? No, 3. The other one?
The other 3.
That one. Thank you. So a couple things. So this came out yesterday.
Yes.
There's a README file in the community maps folder. If you check out our blog post, there's like how to get to the thing, how to put maps in, and all that. So if you're interested in that process, check out those files. Also, join the Discord. There's a community map section. I'm sure there'll be chatter about like how to do stuff in there. So join the discussion if you are interested in that process.
Yeah.
We're going to post this dumb thing that we did, or some version of it,
Yeah.
into that channel, so you'll be able to maybe clean up what we did or take some things out of it and tweak it if you really want to.
And we're really excited to see what everyone creates. Like
Extremely excited.
The point of this is like, people have different opinions on how you should map things. Like some people think there should be no syncopation, and some people think, oh, you shouldn't have slot targets. It should just be really fast, simple targets.
I don't want melees.
I don't want melees. And
melee.
there's not a way that we could satisfy everybody just with these two guys making a million versions of the songs. So the idea is that like people can make all sorts of different versions of it, and we can find everyone can be satisfied, and they can be like, what would it be like if it was like this? And then they can see what it would be like that.
Yeah.
So that's the hope, and also that you can make like some really, really hard maps or stuff like that like, only Tammy Maddie is going to be able to pass.
Right. Yeah, this is also like, it might help us figure out what an even harder difficulty looks like.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
a
like if
way. If this is if we're seeing that everyone's mapping things to be twice as hard, maybe that's a good indication.
Yeah, I think that could help inform like what Expert Plus becomes
Right.
By seeing some really difficult maps.
Right. So we obviously we're paying attention to all the chatter, all the feedback. So
Yep.
keep posting it, keep letting us know what you want to see in the game, and we'll keep working on it. As long as you guys are happy, we're pretty happy. I mean, for the most part, right?
Yeah.
I was very happy. It's
Yeah.
great.
Very happy.
One other thing. So this patch came out yesterday.
Yes.
We have another patch on Wednesday.
I think it's on
Thursday?
Thursday, I think.
Oh, right, because the holiday. We have a
Yeah.
holiday on Monday. Sorry.
In Massachusetts, we have a fake holiday called Patriots Day on
It's-
Monday.
It's a holiday.
It's really because the whole city basically shuts down for the marathon.
Yes.
Right. So we'll have a patch on Thursday, which will include 2 new songs.
Yep.
Won't tell you what those are, but there are 2 new songs next week
Yeah.
in the next patch. So keep an eye out for those announces soon, right, Nick?
Yep,
Cool. Soon.
TM.
TM. Whenever those happen.
Before Thursday.
Before Thursday, or on
Could be on Thursday. Who knows?
So
Not on Monday, because we won't be
we
here.
will not be here. That was perfect time for you to just crank out like 12 more features. It seems like.
Maybe.
The last time we didn't have work on Monday, you put in a whole feature.
Yeah.
The colors, I think, was a Monday feature.
It's true.
So that's gonna be it for us. Any other like last minute tips for authors? Any other last minute authoring things that we didn't touch on?
So we've talked about space a little bit on difficulties and how we talked about authoring to space. But one thing I want to mention is that as you get to easier difficulties, be more and more mindful of space.
Right. Yeah, we didn't really talk about the easier difficulties. So we talked a little bit like what sets them apart, but
So if you actually see the brightest part of the MIDI viewer, like the brightest white part in the middle, which is 15 to 20, 68 to 63, which is,
Yeah, just the center grid. That's
the
sort
center.
of like where we keep easy authoring confined to that space, and the harder the authoring is, the wider we go out to use the whole grid.
Does it more or less represent the field of view? Like if you're on the edge, it's not exact, but
Yeah,
it's kind of
this is sort of like in front of you and
unofficial
to the
one.
sides. Yeah, yeah. It's just a guide.
Little Easter egg here too. That was the original play space.
Yeah, before we widened it, that's what all the targets used to be in.
yeah, it's very true. Like that was the first cut was like
Yeah.
just that center, and we
Yep.
put one song in that broke it, and we were in love with it.
Yeah.
There.
All right.
Back to me, back to the camera. Thank you. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you all for being on the stream. Again, join the Discord, join the conversation. We'll be there with feedback and stuff. Listen to your feedback. Discord.gg/Harmonix. Also follow us on Twitch and Mixer. The things at the bottom. We're live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be back next week. I know I said this last week, that we'd be back this week with Dance Central, but we had to move it because next week we're doing Dance Central. So we'll be back with Alicia doing some cool Dance Central stuff, talking about some features and things we didn't show off in the first stream. So tune in for that. Follow us on Twitter and all the other social medias would be great. That's it. Anything else? Cool. Thank you. Thank you guys.
See you on
Have
Discord.
a great night.
Later, guys.